War is hell itself. It's not only a place, but an experience. It's full of struggles and a grim mindset of bloodshed and hostility. But amidst all of this warfare, born is a revolutionizing use of innovation that reshapes simple cartoons and approachable characters into a weapon of war, impacting our history, entertainment, and our lives. But what drives us to wear the uniform and pull the trigger on an enemy? It isn't solely instincts, it's persuasion. Persuasion created through propaganda that has existed since the earliest of wars. But during World War II, cartoons permanently changed from a common American amusement to affecting the people's reaction and perception, as well as reforming the overall role of entertainment during conflicted times. The word propaganda can be traced all the way back to the Reformation. Since the 20th century, the definition of propaganda has been popularly regarded as a negative term, often meaning lies, deceit, and brainwashing. But that's not necessarily true. The ancient Greeks understood persuasion as an art form of communication, and recognized the tactics and logic that had been used in order to properly use it. Propaganda is any form of communication that supports national goals by influencing the opinions, thoughts, and attitudes of the peoples directed. Critics have long since debated the relation between propaganda and poetry. Both use specific tactics to echo their opinions and implications of change. Propaganda is much more than a weapon. But during World War II, propaganda took another form. It no longer lived in speeches and posters, but found a new and colorful home to reside in. It first appeared as a small nuance in entertainment, almost a whisper of what the government wanted you to believe. And it grew into a weapon so powerful, it changed the way people thought of the war. Disguised as escapes for children and adults alike, it became not only just laughter and melody, but a message that displayed the powerful tool of persuasion.
The outbreak of World War II started a new wave of pro-war propaganda. Before Hitler even took control of Germany, he had already started a program dedicated to deifying him and his motives. In the US, things were much different. Propaganda focused on acquiring new recruits for the army and glorifying the war effort. Young men were encouraged to fight, and those who couldn't were encouraged to donate and fund their brothers at the front. Now, throughout all this, the most common form of displaying propaganda was by radio. During the war, 90% of families owned and regularly used a radio for at least 4 hours daily. But from all this emerged a strange and unique theme. Instead of these realistic depictions of soldiers in the battlefield, cartoons and illustrations began to dominate the world of propaganda. Comics were used to mobilize children, entertain soldiers, degenerate the enemy, and motivate those sacrificing for the war. All of these famous characters such as Superman, Captain America, Wonder Woman, Uncle Sam, and many more emerged, shouting their encouragement, waving their signs at the enemy.
War took many efforts, and the help of persuasive tactics only fueled Americans' will to fight and support their country. This new cartoon-lenient style of propaganda not only gave hope to America, but related to every family and gave them an archetype they could trust. The promise of victory and the pursuit of diligence appealed to soldiers and conveyed the enemy's less than human, rupturing the man's ethics and moral code when on the battlefield.
Propaganda was undeniably everywhere, and the impact was indisputable. Propaganda wasn't just used to encourage and rally the people, it was to warn and certainly to scare them. Early in the war, the US Army grew from just 170,000 men to over 11 million. The Air Force received so many bombardier recruits that the War Department had to ask them to stop. And not only the men, but propaganda pushed 6 million women into the workforce. People were scared, and it brought them to action.
The war effort took a dramatic increase. Coming from the Great Depression, America was almost unrecognizable, achieving exponential success in industry and resulting in a great economy, producing roughly half of the Allied military equipment in less than a decade. Not only did the US overcome the Great Depression, the nation prospered and became one of the world's leading superpowers, and its economy bloomed to double of what it was.
One of the standalone figures in propaganda was a man by the name of Walter Elias Disney. He was certainly a towering figure in the field of animation, but he was also a genius as a producer. As he rapidly gained popularity, Walt Disney began displaying propaganda in his films. His films reached millions of viewers across the world, and its influence began to spread across industries. Walt Disney is now a worldwide known figure, with one of, if not the, biggest impacts in film propaganda history.
Born in Chicago, 1901, Walt Disney went on to become one of the greatest cartoonists to this day, leading a generation of revolutionizing use of animation in film. And holding so much influence over people's beliefs through entertainment, he became one of the leading figures in propaganda distribution, often credited to promote the idea that the only way to deal with Hitler was to bomb Germany.
So apparently some major or colonel or something got stuck in Walt's office and wouldn't leave. And who could blame him? You know, it's right in the next room here. And there was, at that time, because I used to have meetings in there, there was a couple of low couches, very low, that would have certainly been good beds. And there was a bathroom and a little kitchenette. So it would have been a great apartment.
In 1941, right after the attack of Pearl Harbor, Disney's film studio was heavily militarized by the government in an effort to produce more propaganda. Employees began primarily producing short films and cartoons on the war, and by 1943, nearly 90% of the studio's production consisted of government work. And with the help of Disney and his studio, the American people were motivated and the soldiers' morale was boosted. But while the army thrived, the studio's animators became dissatisfied with the work they published and the direction of the industry. The use of animation for innocent children was polluted by the nation's deceit and self-interest. Today, animation seems harmless entertainment. It's eye-catching and amusing. But behind this charade, animation has always carried the power to shape how we think, how we feel, and how we understand the world around us. We fall for the facade of the innocent-looking characters because they are trusted and beloved, and the messages they deliver slip past our defenses, quietly influencing our perception and our ideals. So next time when you open a comic, watch a film, or laugh at a cartoon, look past the colorful surface. Ask yourself not only what the story says, but why it was told. Because behind every story is a message. And behind every message is someone with something to gain.